What if a single front-court decision ends up reshaping the entire future of the Boston Celtics? The clock is ticking as December 15 approaches, and the front office knows that one wrong move could trigger a chain reaction inside the locker room and inside the cap sheet. The sense of urgency is real, and the risk is higher than it looks at first glance. But here is the first question that twists the entire narrative. Why would a team in full contention risk shifting its center rotation at this exact moment? At first, it seems simple. Yet once you dive into the rules, the cap restriction, the traded player exception calculations, and the chain of locker room roles, the picture becomes far more delicate. Ron Sharp becomes trade eligible. But how do you move within the CBA without creating new internal conflicts? Sharp sits at $6.3 million on the current season, with the same number lined up through a club option. The Celtics could use part of their massive traded player exception, but does that open a path or does it expose a crack in the long-term vision? The youth upside is obvious. Sharp is only 24, but the decision touches chemistry, rotation, and playoff readiness. Would this shift strike the roster balance or sharpen it? So the next challenge hits even harder. Can the Celtics handle the tactical risk of adding a center who might demand a bigger role than expected? Sharp plays only 16 minutes per game in Brooklyn, yet his passing, rebounding, and physical profile suggests someone who will want more. Would he accept a smaller role without stirring unease in a locker room built on hierarchy and trust? The detail that complicates everything lies in timing. December 15 turns the key and unlocks trade season. Boston has 3 second-round picks, plus the colossal traded player exception. But cap math is not the true problem. The problem is role acceptance. If Sharp arrives, small lineups with Josh Minott may fade. If Minott loses touches or rhythm, does that cost Boston one of its most surprising mid-season developments? Don't forget to leave your like to show your support for the team. As Giannis Antetokounmpo faces injury, frustration, and a roster collapsing around him, the Celtics front office senses an opening that carries real financial and political consequence. Every option on the table now feels dangerous, urgent, and loaded with long-term risk. Draymond Green becomes the shock name in the equation. His salary fits into larger trade machinery once Jonathan Kuminga becomes eligible. And Golden State may chase Giannis with full aggression. That opens a rare path for Boston to scoop Green while staying under critical tax triggers. The twist is real. Could Boston use its flexibility to exploit chaos without paying a star price? Yet the locker room factor hits hard. Would a fiery personality like Green mesh with a roster built on calm leadership and precise hierarchy? Would his voice energize the room or disrupt the rhythm that led Boston to deep playoff run? These concerns raise a cliffhanger. Is Green the missing tactical edge or the risky spark that burns the entire structure? Comparing Green to current Celtics pieces reveals hidden tension. His switch-heavy defense fits Boston's scheme, but his off-ball game would reshape roles for Al Horford, Xavier Tillman, and even Derek White. Would these shifts generate quiet resentment or elevate the group in playoff battles? Simons and draft capital may move to Milwaukee, but who moves out of Boston? Now we hit the deepest issue tactically. Would this trade reshape the Celtics' identity in a way that strengthens their title path or destabilizes their core principle? Green brings toughness, elite help instinct, and a rare understanding of star usage pattern. But does that value outweigh the potential clash with a coaching staff focused on spacing, pace, and controlled emotional tone? In the end, the Celtics find themselves at a crossroads shaped by another franchise's desperation. If the Giannis sweepstakes trigger a chain reaction, Boston could steal a piece that changes playoff matchup and frontcourt dynamics for years. But one misread on personality or cap timing could turn. Could the Celtics afford to reshape their entire guard structure just to land Ivica Zubac? And what hidden cap triggers would this decision set off? The Clippers are sinking fast, with dysfunction bleeding from the locker room into daily operation. That chaos opens a rare window for Boston, but the cost is steep. Anfernee Simons and Peyton Pritchard are not just contracts. They are tactical tools. Moving both tests the foundation of Joe Mazzulla's scheme. But how would this move even fit inside the CBA? Analyzing the cap, is there a legal path that avoids second apron traps? Every answer here leads to another question, and the uncertainty sets the stage for the twist that comes next. If Boston pulls this off, what internal consequence will hit them first? The rotation shock or the political fallout? Would Zubac truly elevate Boston's identity? Or would he quietly expose structural weaknesses the team has ignored for months? His numbers tell one story, his contract tells another. 16 points, nearly 12 rebounds, high efficiency, proven defensive anchoring. Yet the Celtics are not simply adding production, they are adding responsibility. How would a player used to volume adapt to a system built on ball movement and spacing? Would he accept a role with fewer opportunities, or would his presence strain chemistry? Digging deeper into his deal, the stability through 2028 gives Boston security, but also limits flexibility. And what nobody expects is how this could alter Derek White's workload and force a complete rethinking of late-game matchups. If Zubac becomes the anchor, who becomes the sacrifice in the rotation hierarchy? Is Boston prepared to navigate the political storm of adding Chris Paul as a stopgap, even if his leadership style clashes with the current culture? Paul brings experience and structure, but his blunt approach has already sparked chaos in LA. Would he embrace a reduced role behind White? Or would tension build in moments when the team needs calm more than fire? And what about Bogdan Bogdanovic, an expiring asset who offers shot creation and trade flexibility? Could his arrival be the quiet key that unlocks a future move at the deadline? The front office must consider every ripple, especially the long-term value of Hugo Gonzalez and the precious 2026 pick. But here is the first question that shakes the boardroom. Could the Celtics really use Simons as the key piece in a multi-team deal that touches the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo, even if Boston never intends to chase him directly? The idea sounds wild, but the rules of the cap open curious angles. Simons is an expiring contract, flexible enough to slide into a larger transaction, and the league knows Milwaukee is preparing for heavy storm. If Boston dares to chase Ivica Zubac, is the price in draft picks and rotational disruption truly worth it? Or is this the kind of move that wins headlines but complicates the cap for years? Zubac brings size, rebounding, screen gravity, and a contract that escalates steadily. But analyzing the cap, is there any loophole that lets Boston add him while preserving long-term flexibility for extensions and future mid-season adjustment? Masaraki Zubac would accept a role defined by rim protection and low usage, knowing this system prioritizes spacing and pace. The front office must consider whether adding a true center stabilizes the roster or unintentionally slows the offense. The third question strikes at the core of Boston identity. Should the Celtics be thinking about Simons not as a trade chip, but as a guard who could reshape their offensive geometry if he stays? His scoring bursts and shot creation open another dimension next to Tatum. But will he accept a secondary role when the rotation is already full of players demanding touches? Masaraki keeping him is actually the most efficient financial decision, considering his next contract could clash with the cap sheets that already carry mega deals. Whether they facilitate a mega deal, chase Zubac, or hold Simons for a deeper playoff run, each step carves a new direction for the franchise. The balance between cap discipline and competitive aggression has never felt thinner, and the true question now is simple. If the front office makes the wrong choice, how long will it take for the consequences to echo across Tatum Prime? Before the next episode drops, tell me, which path would you take if you were in charge of Boston future? Don't forget to leave your like to show your support for the team. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any electrifying moment of the NBA season.